Good evening everyone, and welcome to our extraordinary meeting of Bexhill-on-Sea Town Council on Wednesday the 3rd of June 2026. What I'd like to start with is if we could all put our phones on aeroplane mode please, because it affects the cameras. Thank you very much. I'd like to just say we have 3 exits. We've got one exit there, we've got one exit in the middle, and we've got one exit to the left. Toilets are just in front of me over there. Thank you very much. We do, that's what I need next time. Right, I'd like to start with public participation. Do we have anyone in the public that would like to speak? Yes? Okay. I'll start with, if you'd like to come to the microphone was there. You have 3 minutes.
I might not need 3 minutes this time. Tracy Love, Bexhill Chamber of Commerce. I'm here representing White Label Events, as well as the majority of Bexhill businesses. And I know the particular issue that you're going to be talking tonight is in relation to the grant. And as a personal appeal and an appeal on behalf of the other businesses in Bexhill, I would just like to say that if we have money that is designed to help and encourage events in Bexhill, then I think we should have a strategy that is more proactive in the distribution of that. So maybe going forward there could be an annual plan, and you could maybe encourage businesses to come forward with ideas to actually spend the funding that's available. So I just wondered, I'm appealing for a more proactive approach in the future. In relation to this particular event, White Label Events historically have pulled in between 5,000 and 10,000 people into Bexhill, and that footfall has a huge effect on our local economy. So I think we should encourage that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, would you like to? You have 3 minutes, sir.
I'm Russell Nisbet from White Label Events. So thank you, Tracy. She's said a lot of what I wanted to say. Really. One thing that I know was brought up was with regards to Roger Crouch, and hopefully you've all been forwarded something to that with regards to his directorship. That was purely administrative, and hopefully we'll, as soon as we can get the digital ID sorted, he'll be back and reinstated. So it's as simple as that. There's no other anything else to that. So really, you know, the other thing to reassure you of is every penny goes into the event, and some. Myself and Roger pockets and other people's pockets help that out massively. So there's no profiteering, there's no charity donations or anything. It really does just all go into making the event the best that we can, and doing what we can for the town, and putting on good shows that I hope speak for themselves with what we've done over the years. I know from Roger had 2 calls this week. We've got a coach load of people coming down from Hemel Hempstead who are part of an 80s fan club. You know, it definitely does bring tourism, people from out of town that are going to be in the town, in the shops, in the cafes, and etc. So thank you for the reconsideration, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I will move on to apologies for absence. Do I have any apologies for absence?
Yes, you do, Chair. Good evening, everyone. We've had apologies from Councillor Jacqueline with a work commitment, Councillor Crotty, Councillor Winter as a family wedding, and Councillor Hunt as a work commitment. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
To accept those apologies. Thank you.
Thank you. So can I have do we accept those apologies? Do I have a proposer for that and a seconder? Yes, I do. And a vote, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. To receive declarations of interest. Councillor Tempe.
Thank you, Chair. Rother District Councillor.
Thank you.
Rother District Council.
Thank you. Councillor Tracy.
Rother District Council.
Thank you. Councillor Plym.
Yeah, I'm chair of Bexhill Carnival Committee for this year, so it might have some relevance in things that I might say during the proceedings of this event.
Okay. Thank you. So moving on to 5, which is to reconsider a request for funding from White Label Events CIC And just to note that White Label Events have received a grant of £1,600 on 19th of May. So I will open up conversation. Who would like to start? Councillor Lee, please.
Thank you. I think it's a no-brainer. Just the money that they need is going to come into the town. The event they put on last year, the cowboy thing, was it was absolutely brilliant. I can't see why we don't fund this. It makes sense. We've already lost Bexhill After Dark, and we don't want to lose another one for the sake of a couple of grand. To me, it's a no-brainer. We should just give them the money, let them get on with it.
Thank you.
That's all I think.
I'll start this way and work around. So I usually start that side and you start this side. Councillor Doss.
I just had a few queries on the document that came with it, Appendix A. Was on table 2, I mean, it looks as though we've only given out 3 grants. I thought there was also the carnival after dark. I'm not sure what happened. I know it got cancelled in the end. I'm not sure what happened to that grant. Other things. On 2.4, yeah, they're only allowed to apply. Well, there is a discount each year if they're reapplied. I just wondered how that's monitored in our system. If it's a change of name each year, but basically the same thing, as companies do change their name sort of every year. And the other thing, basically, with regards to this grant, was why was it discounted by the Finance Committee? Is there a reason for it?
Yeah. Yes, I can answer. So it was actually, I am actually Chair of Finance, but I wasn't there on the day for this decision. So the Chair of Finance on that day, I believe, put some motion across to say that we, I believe it was the Chair. I'm not 100. No. Okay, but
two.
Okay, there was a motion put forward to just give 1,600. The reason being to leave money for other events in the town is, I believe, is the reason. But Councillor Timpey, maybe you could, yeah.
Yeah, no, there were several motions if you look at the recording. Yeah. But I watched it, and I have to say I think there were some personal things going on as to why there was a reduction, and some nitpicking as far as the fact they thought it was for safety issues, etc., etc. But as the Tracy said, we are here to support events, and we're not doing it. And I was astounded at that decision, and got the 9 people to get the meeting today. But I'm fully aware of the fact that we do need to be a little bit more coherent in what we're doing with this particular money, because we put it aside and we seem to be frightened to actually spend it. And if we don't spend it and help the community, and especially companies like White Label, then what on earth is it for? So, you know, I agree with Councillor Lee, it's a no-brainer. I love that word. I could not comprehend the Finance Committee's decision, and I did not feel it was based on logic at all.
If we go with logic, actually, I would like to just put something across, and I'm going to just go. And I'm going to go to Councillor Byrne after that. Looking into this, we do only have around 5 or 7 events in the town. And I believe when Finance looked into this, it was 28,000 to be able to give, 7 events, £4,000, and that was the whole point, because that is how many events roughly. I'm not saying it's exact, but we have 5 or 7 events in the town, each that we were going to give that money. So if we're stopping that money going to that event by cutting it in less than half, who are the others that are going to come forward anyway?
Precisely.
Because we only have a handful of events anyway that want that money, and that is what Finance looked at to come up with that amount of 28,000. And White Label are one of the events that we give grants to. We have others. I believe there's other councillors that will probably talk about that later, so I'm going to leave it to councillors to chat about, or to discuss. But yeah, that's my point across, and then I'm going to let everyone else speak. So, Councillor Byrne.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just really going to support the words of our Chamber of Trade Chair, Tracy, saying it is a bit haphazard. Maybe we do need to look again at events, and there might be events that would come forward. So there might be more than 7 potential events if they knew there was a structured funding scheme that they could apply for and understood the mechanism. So perhaps we should be a bit more on the front foot. And I think it's very good that you looked at the 7 sort of events that are already in the calendar, as it were, or that we know about. But if we could be a bit more proactive, especially now we've got our now sparkling new website, which I thank the clerk, and we could put something on there about the way we fund events, the sort of events we want to fund, the sort of support we want to give to the town, and then see if it kicks off some more ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Thomas, would you like to say anything?
Yes. Cutting it down from 4,000 to 1,600, it's not just been economic, it's been penny pinching, which is ridiculous. If they ask for 4,000, why cut it back? We get value for money, and that's what we need.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
Just clear my throat because I'll take the full 5 minutes, I think. I was one of the 3 here tonight who was at the finance meeting, and whilst I always support a decision made by a committee, I was the only one that was standing the ground saying we should fund this to the fullest amount. If I hadn't, it would have only been 1,200. We managed to force it up from 1,200 to 1,600. You can watch it, it's all on the film. It was, I believe, very unfortunate, and I think it was the first proper challenge of our policy document around how we finance, and it became very clear that our documentation isn't fit for purpose towards grant for events. We need a different policy to cover events, and I've been considering this subsequently, and I think there should be events in this town that are, I would call them protected assets, that we fund every single year should they come to us and ask for it, and they should be in our earmarked reserves and taken away from grants. It was my suggestion back in the day to put 28,000 into events because it was me that quickly came up. We never have more than 7 events, so let's put away 4 times 7, 28,000. And that would have been more than enough, but the history of the finance, which I think is very unfortunate, always wants to try and knock down the money that people are asking for, irrelevant of what it is. And when you look at some of these events, we have said no, but generally they're half what people are asking for, and I think we need to revisit the process, split it into 2 and create a process for an asset that you're purchasing as opposed to the grants. There are certainly 4 key events in this town that are done every single year, and they are the likes of Bexhill 100, the Carnival, the Horse Show, this particular event, and there may be one other that we should support. We're here to support the town and the businesses, and I think it is very unfortunate that we said no, and I rather hope that it will be turned over tonight because it is something that we should support, and we should revisit, following the series of events, our policies, and for, I think, the 9th time, review the policy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do agree. I would like to just add though, I think our policy is a lot better than what it was. We did only cut what we were giving out for grants because the policy before that, I believe, was like £10,000, and that policy was just too much, so we couldn't afford to give those grants out. That's why this new grant is 4,000, which we worked out we could afford to give out, but we need to be we need to work out how we're going to give it out and not sit there and start halving it. And if it's 4,000, it's 4,000. I believe we found maybe a flaw in the half the next year. But again, as you said, we can revisit that. We will get it right. We are a new council, or we can't keep saying that, but we are a newish council. But we will get our grant policy right. But is it right now? Probably not.
Just under the right of appeal, if I may, Chair, the flaw is that after 3 years, when you've given out £28,000, if those 7 came back, you'd give nothing, you'd be stuck with £28,000 supporting no one in the town.
Yeah.
That's the flaw, and I did highlight that when this was...
You did.
The whole policy, if people remember, was put under Finance's nose at 2 minutes' notice without being given the opportunity back in August last year, and it's been redesigned twice. It is not fit for purpose, and it does need to be reviewed.
The main thing is we will review it, and that's So I'll move on to Councillor Drayson.
Yeah, a couple of things really, because committees, I've said before, we need to trust committees and not always come back to council, but this does seem to be a flawed application of what is a flawed grant thing, and I know we do need to look at it again and need to think about it. I'm very much with Councillor Wilson's idea. These key events that happen every year, we should fund them, but equally, so that we're not giving away money to what may actually be a failing event in the future, we still need to say yes, it's not a rubber stamp every year, but it's got to be pretty much presented, but it's still got to be an almost yes. And so, and I can see that the committee tried to break it down and do it a little bit. An event, I mean, they could have possibly taken some other of their costs and put them in instead of security or health and safety, and we'd have said, yes, have the 4,000. You're running an event, you just need the money. What title you put it under, you could have put it under one and we'd say yes, put it under the other, we'd say no. So, to my mind, we should be saying yes to this, but we do need to look at the grants policy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Flynn?
Yeah, I am in agreement as well. I think the events policy does need to be looked at. It is a proportion of the annual budget for the finance. I'm on the strong opinion that because it is a certain amount of money for events only, it should be moved over to the Communication Engagement Committee, because the Communication Engagement Committee actually look after the Christmas lights event, the Bexhill Day event, the Remembrance Days events, and they will be the ideal committee to look at this. There are several other events that the Communication Engagement Committee look at as well and keep an eye on, and that's the carnival. We would like to be more involved in the other events that take place in the town. My little tiny niggle would be that there's possibly been a lack of communication between the applicant and the town council, and I think that communication should have been more robust at the very start of this and earlier, and therefore we would have been more prepared and probably more aware of what the needs and particular sort of logistical challenges that organisation faced. With that in mind, I think it would be very prudent for that organisation or other organisations to contact the town council now with a view to maybe looking into some sort of 5-year agreement whereby they agree to stage an event every year for 5 years, and we agree to fund it to a certain degree for 5 years, thereby giving them some sort of robust strategy ahead. And ourselves, budget-wise, we can look at that as well ourselves. So whether we can do it today or not, but I would like to propose that the current events budget is moved to the Communication Engagements Committee at the earliest opportunity, if that's possible.
Yeah, this is a problem. We can't do it now. I'd have to bring that.
Okay.
We can bring it.
Could we put that motion forward at the next full council?
Yes, no problem.
Anything else, Councillor Flynn?
No, I'm... No.
Yeah, thank you very much. Councillor L?
Do bear with me, Councillor, because I want to articulate this as best as I possibly can. There's so many branches involved in this. and I was actually a councillor that was at the finance meeting. I want to say firstly that I support the event completely, undoubtedly. Any event of this magnitude in Bexhill, I'm definitely behind it. I've got a business in town as well. I understand what it brings to the town. I see the people in the streets. I know what it means. So it's important that we understand that. But I'm also here with a different hat on today, and that's the person that's responsible for money from the Bexhill residents. We have 42,000 as a budget to give away for grants. And we've come to the point at the end of the year, end of the financial year, where we've struggled to meet some of the grants because we didn't have enough money left in our budget. So what we did is we split 24,000 for events and 18,000 for the rest of the grants that were coming in. There's people around me today that are saying there's 7 main events in Bexhill that we should support. Again, I'm 100% behind that. But if we're saying that 24,000 are going to those 7 events, and you're saying, why don't other people come forward? Why would they come forward? If we're saying that money is already allocated to these 7 events, why would other people come forward and then ask for these grants? Because it won't be there for them. So I am under the idea that if we are going to split these 7 events and we're going to give money towards it and award these grants, and that should be done on a deal that we can say, for example, every event gets 4,000 every year, or something that we come up with, absolutely. But if we're saying it's already allocated, I don't see a point of putting that 24,000 forward. There's no point of advertising it. Looking at the health and safety situation, it was said that we only looked at the health and safety and then left the rest of the paragraph that day. I was the person that day that brought it back and said, hang on a minute, it's not just for health and safety, it's for toilets, it's for entertainment. I did read out the full paragraph, and I made sure that it was stated there that we're actually looking to invest in a lot more for that event, which is absolutely fine. But again, as Councillor Drayson said, maybe if it come back to us and we were told that we need £4,000 for health and safety, we probably would have said yes and not said anything else about it. It was the split that confused us a little bit. And it is a learning curve for us as well. We were also told that 30% of this money is needed by the TI. This is 30% of their budget that they need to spend. It's also 20% of our grants budget, of our 24,000 events grant budget. It's 20% of it, and it's the first month of grants. So what I was trying to do at that meeting, and what I'm trying to do now as well, think about the future and think about the people that are going to come in, ask for more grants, and how we can fund more events in town. Because there's events that need £500, there's events that need £250, little bits of, there might not be a huge event, but it's important for the town again to be able to be behind them and back them as well. So I think we need to come up with a plan where if we are going to dedicate a certain portion of our money towards events that are going to go on every year, these big important events, that we come up with a plan to do it that way. And I'm more than happy to support that. But I don't want it to come to the end of the financial year and look at these people that come in needing £250, £500, £700 and us not being in a position to help them. Because we've only left 18,000 for these everyday grants that are coming in. 24,000 we've already given to events. So we want to have options, and as everyone said around the table today, I think it is a problem with our policy, and it's going to happen, and it's normal, and we just need to work through that.
Thank you. As we've said, I think we're going around saying that our policy does need looking at, and I'm sure it will be looked at. I will just say though, there will be times when we do get to the end of the year and we don't have any money to give out. That will happen. So if there are events out there and people want to do events, they just need to be prepared and come to us at the right time when we have our grants applications open and come and ask for the money, and if we have it, we give it. That's what I believe, but as I said, that would be up to everyone else to decide. Councillor Peters.
Yeah, I think I should also speak on this because I was also on that finance committee, and I was the one that seconded the motion at £1,600 because at one stage it did drop down to £1,100. So Councillor L added the £500 for the toilets, so I then immediately took the option of taking the £1,600, which is what I did. And section 2.3, as pointed out by Tracy Love at the last meeting, is ambiguous, and I think just on that alone we can tonight award the full amount of money, because if you want that read up, I'm going to read it out. Organisations will need to demonstrate that they are applying for funds to support a specific project and not supporting day-to-day running costs. Running costs was what stifled the decision before, and this is not day-to-day running costs, it is for a specific project, and I think we can give them the full amount just on that. But that's over to you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think Councillor Wilson actually touched base on that it's actually a one event, so it won't be day-to-day running costs anyway. So that was a good point there. I'm gonna try. I think we can probably come to a decision, but I'll just. Councillor Flynn, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, just a caveat to what we're saying. I mean, Councillor Drayson touched on it when he said a successful event. We all want a successful event, but as Chair of the Carnival, I know full well, if the rain comes down and the deluge happens, it's never going to be a successful event. And we got to bear in mind that that's what we got to, because as we've heard before, some people are putting their own money into this, and if the rain comes, they've lost their own money. So let's just bear in mind, it doesn't matter whether it isn't successful, it doesn't matter whether the rain comes down, we are supporting a potential great event, and that's what we should be focusing on.
I'll just take Councillor Drayson.
Because you mentioned me, one bad year doesn't mean it's a failing event.
Exactly.
I think we can picture failing events that have happened before it. But yeah, 1 year doesn't make it failing.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson.
I just want to add, which I forgot to add, apologies, Chair. I do love a strategic plan.
Really?
That's the word.
By now, the Town Council has been up and running for 5 years. We've funded numerous events. We know who the people are that put these events on. To have a plan, could somebody, through the Town Clerk, pick up the phone, speak to these people, explain everything, and get contacts and get a direct link into them, so we know what's going to be coming forward from now right the way around to our next financial year, so we can plan and know what we're going to be supporting. At the moment, we don't. We're reactive rather than proactive.
A motion for our next full council?
Well, it needs to go in line with any change to policy documents.
Exactly. You're reviewing the policy, you can pick it up when you need the
Because we need to be, I believe, proactive rather than reactive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Councillor Drayson,
I'd like to propose we up the amount 2,600 so that they get the full 4,000 grant.
2,400.
2,400. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Do I have a second? Okay. Just before that, Councillor Goss, you had some questions. Would you like our clerk to answer them, or are you happy to go ahead?
I think I'm happy to go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
I can let you know.
That's fine. Thank you. So it's been seconded, and can I have a vote, please, on that then? Please, thank you.
All those in favour of the 4,000?
All those in favour for £2,400 extra on top of the 1,600.
That's unanimous, Chair.
Unanimous, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, thank you. So we'll move on to 6, if that's okay. To appoint members to the Human Resources Subcommittee. So if you're in finance and you'd like to be on the HR Subcommittee, have I got any nominations for that, please?
I'd be quite happy to go on the HR Subcommittee.
Yeah, so Councillor Wilson is nominating himself. Councillor L, are you seconding? No, I need a second.
Councillor Wilson.
Second, Councillor Wilson. Okay, can I have a vote for Councillor Wilson?
Nominate myself?
Yes. Can I just get I'll get a vote on Councillor Wilson, and then can I have a vote for Councillor Wilson to be on the HR Subcommittee, please?
Is that from everyone,
All in
or is
favour?
it from the finance?
Well,
everyone.
Because appointments are made by full council.
Sorry, it's just through finance. Finance selects the HR Subcommittee.
Okay.
It's a subcommittee of finance, not a full council.
Yes, but we were asked to put this matter onto this agenda. Okay. So I'm happy for councillors to vote.
I believe it would be. Yeah, I think it would be. Everyone here would be able to vote.
Yeah.
Okay, just saying.
I think
because it's been brought forward. If it was, if it was a. So can I just ask once more? Can I have a vote for Councillor Wilson for standing? Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Chair, thank you.
And do I have any more nominations?
Councillor Temple was nominated but not seconded.
Yeah, Councillor L, I believe, was first. So can I have a seconder for Councillor L? I've got a seconder for Councillor L. And can I have a vote for Councillor L, please? Yes, unanimous. Councillor Tempe is. Do I have a seconder? Yes. And a vote? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Free HR.
Thank you, councillors. Brilliant.
Moving on to agree I need 4 people for the bank mandates, to sign the bank mandate. So again, anyone in finance, can I have yourself? Yeah, Councillor Peters. Do I have a seconder for Councillor Peters? Councillor Wilson seconding. And
sorry, we don't have to appoint them. We just need them to know who they are.
That's fine. So Councillor Peters, Councillor Wilson,
volunteered. Yeah.
I believe Councillor Winter.
Councillor Byrne has also volunteered to me
that's
by
3.
email, so that's 3. So there's just a 4th one.
Okay, so I do need a 4th one because Councillor Winter isn't here today. So.
I don't
4th.
mind. I don't know.
Councillor Tempe. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Tempe. We've got our 4.
Thank you. We've got
4 mandates. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And that's it. That's the end of tonight's full council. Thank you. Good evening everyone, and welcome to our Amenities Committee. It's Wednesday the 3rd of June 2026, and I'd like to just open the meeting today to elect a chair, please. So do I have any nominations for a chair? Councillor Drayson.
On the basis that we don't mind proposing ourselves, I'd like to propose myself.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a seconder for Councillor Johnson? Yep, Councillor Burns seconded.
Yeah.
And can I have a vote for Councillor Drayson, please? Thank you very much. Nice.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I'll let you take over.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Brian,
Any glasses?
I got them on the face. Good evening. Thank you for that and putting me back in the chair. And my first job is to seek election or nominations for vice chair. Are there any nominations, please?
Can I nominate myself?
Well, on the basis that I'm sitting here and I do, yes. Is there a seconder for Councillor Plym? Councillor Thomas?
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations?
I'm not nominating, but could I make an observation?
Yes.
This would be a typical example where whoever becomes vice chair will go to the top table, and you get more on the top table than what you do down here. When you're vice chair of full council, it's really important that you've got somebody to spot who is there really a need for the vice to sit on the top table? Because we've had it in finance where
I wasn't going to. I was
No,
going
but
to. If I got elected.
One moment, Councillor Wilson. Councillor Plym, how would you feel about not being on the top
I'm just
table?
I
raising
haven't been
the
elected
issue.
yet, so I couldn't possibly climb.
No, I take your point. There is a finite limit up here anyway.
Yes, and it's a different scenario committee to what full
And
council.
I don't know if going forward the clerk will always be here for amenities. I know John will be, so I don't know.
I'm just raising that as an issue, but I think
Yeah.
committees are different and it's more encompassing.
And then we could always move you up to these tables.
Yes.
So on the question of vice chair, is only one nomination? All those in favour of Councillor Plym being the vice chair, no matter where he sits?
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
I couldn't do it anyway, there's no ramp.
It makes it more inclusive.
Oh, there we go.
We will make adjustments.
I know a group we could do that for you.
Yeah, I know somebody could.
We need a
Right, so we now come to public participation, and I see a member of the public who has raised their hand. So if you could come to the microphone, please, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, hi. I'm Hazel Tempe and I'm here as a resident. And I see on your agenda you have something about Glyn Gap roundabout, which we all know as Ravenside roundabout, really. It's the gateway to Bexhill. It's very important that we get it right. In another capacity, I was involved in sorting that roundabout out. But I am curious, when I read your paperwork, I'm confused about who is going to make this particular sculpture, if that's what you decide, because we have some very good local sculptors who are also manufacturers, and I'm not sure that you have looked at those, and I'd like to know why you haven't done that, and that's really all I have to say. So if you could answer me that question, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. I suspect it will be answered during the debate on that very subject. So, agenda item 4, apologies for absence.
I think everyone's here, Chair.
Yep. Received declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interest. I'll start. Member of Bexhill, Rother District Council. Councillor Byrne. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, but as amenities, I better declare also Director of Coombe Country Park.
All right. Okay. Chair's announcements. There are none. Minutes. To approve the minutes of our last meeting on the 1st of April as a correct record of that meeting. Anyone want to propose that as a correct meeting? Councillor Burns, seconded by Councillor Plim. All those in favour? Thank you.
Very much. Shall we just have our 10-second time out?
Oh, you've got the signature.
I've got the thing. You've got it. There we go. So we initial the pages in the time. Last one, have you got? Okay. Space there, you're okay. Brilliant. Thank you for your help. Appreciate it.
Right, thank you. Moving on. Agenda item 8. Finance Administration to note the income and expenditure report, including earmark reserves in relation to this committee. Right, I haven't got a copy here, it's on here.
It's great when it works.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I found it. It's Appendix B and B1. Sorry, B1 and B2.
That's it.
So, report of the expenditure, including earmark reserves for this committee, and it gives details of income and expenditure variations. So, can you talk us through this, Alan, or do you want me?
Well, I think you say what you have. Appendix B2 is the figures, and Appendix B1 is the RFO's variance report, Chair. So,
yeah.
Very
Just
happy
being
to.
asked to note.
We'll be asked to note,
note
obviously,
it.
if there are any
Yeah.
questions or comments on the report, happy to take them, and then the committee needs to note the report per se. You've got the
Yeah.
figures here and the variance report here.
Any
Councillor Wilson,
Councillor Wilson.
I have, if I may, on B2 or B11, whichever way you read it, under amenities, item number 4700, 4705 and 4720, detailed as future projects, reserves, general and future asset funds. I'm not sure why they're on the amenities, because I thought future asset fund went into general, and certainly the reserves general, I wasn't sure sat under amenities. It's on page 1 of,
Yeah.
just to help people
Yeah.
here.
Got it.
I'm not sure. I could, of course, always be wrong when monies are concerned. And I note in the report it does mention about toilets and there was sort of some best guesses, but when you look at the actual for the month and year to date, some of the numbers they're not really quite relevant as such. As an example, Channel View East, the value in actual current month is the same as what it is for actual year to date, but year to date is 2 months because this is up to the 27th of May. So I'm a little bit confused because if you take Channel View East, that means we ain't got much left for the rest of this financial year. So how are we going to fund, and it doesn't tell me that in the report, how are we going to fund the operational side of the toilets for the rest of the financial year? That does concern me.
Checking Councillor Wilson's answered all his questions.
Yeah.
Is that all your questions, Councillor Wilson, so far? Any more?
I do have more, yeah. I wasn't aware that we'd actually spent on page 2. I wasn't aware we'd actually spent anything on the surplayers yet. I know we have agreed 6,000 for the highways investigatory work that needs to be done.
Where is that on this?
Page 2, earmark reserve expenditure, 383 quid.
Yeah.
And again, it does worry me when you've got the difference in the toilets. The closing balance of earmark reserves is only 2,900 and there's an awful lot of the year left to go. So I don't know whether it's a timing issue, but I'm just raising that as a area for concern.
Toilets in the report, which is the notice board and the town.
I do like numbers.
So in terms of your main points, in terms of the 4705 and 4720, I will ask the RFO and she will send an answer around as to why they're in this report. Yeah. In terms of the toilet question, as the RFO says in the report, the toilets are going to be up and down across everything in this first year as we're finding out. But if you look at the top of page 2, Councillor Wilson, the total for toilets expenditure for that whole category of expenditure, at the end of 2 months of the year, is showing 15% spend, which is about right for 2 months into the year. So overall, we're about on at the moment in terms of overall expenditure. So some are up and some are down. So if you look, so basically it starts at from 4205 down to 4749 is basically all the lines of expenditure in the toilets category, and then underneath is a subtotal called public toilets indirect expenditure, and that's a subtotal for all that group. It's a little bit confusing. It goes across the 2 pages, so you kind of don't realise necessarily that subtotal at the top of page 2 is actually about figures on page 1, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, but if you look at the variance on the right hand side, it says percentage spent in the year so far 15%. So obviously we'll keep a careful eye on that as we go through the year, as Michelle has alluded to within the report. But 2 months in, overall 15% is about right for 2 months into the year. So at this stage, we're not raising any particular alarms about it because it's on track after 2 months overall, or recognising line by line there are differences. So I hope that helps to clarify that.
Yeah, I think,
as a right reply,
I think we need to be somehow reassured about the ones that are shown as 40 and 42% spent already. And there may be a reason. It may be timing that we've just finished the work on that and not a penny's going to be spent for the next 6 months on it.
I think what is confusing, Chair, is that if you take the second 4740 Little Common Roundabout, it's got £478 for actual current month and year to date is 478, so that suggests that there was nothing in the previous month. So
but it depends how the expenditure's coming in, doesn't it, really? So that's why, as I say, in the context of the overall report, as the report says, we're going to continue to keep a careful eye on the toilets matters, and of course we would raise with committee if there was an overall concern. It's quite early within the year, but we'd say within the year overall so far, it's not significantly off as a grand total, but as the RFO has said, we're monitoring it closely because we're finding out as we go, and of course this committee will be monitoring it closely as we go in the months ahead.
So I accept that close monitoring, but this committee won't sit until September when you're halfway through the year. Mm-hmm. So if it's going to go wrong, it will have gone wrong by then, and we won't have the opportunity to reappraise those numbers.
I've written up here, pick up with Michelle.
I trust Michelle implicitly.
I think it's important with our committee system now of big gaps. that there needs to be a meeting with, in my case, the RFO, or both that and the clerk, and the chair of finance, I'm sure, is not going to let 2 months go by without speaking to someone, and engagements as well. With these gaps, we need to have the halfway break where we still actually speak to the officers to get an understanding of where we're going, and in a month's time, if, especially as I've said, pick this up with Michelle, if those toilets figures are going haywire, we need to look at them more closely.
Of course, and that's understood, and it says within the report that it may be need to adjust it during the year. If that is the case, obviously that will go through the appropriate channels to do that, and there is a finance committee in July that would look at these figures. So
Councillor Goss.
I was basically going to raise the same sort of things. It was a bit alarming to see 5-6 of them or something at around 40% mark when we're only 15-16% of the way through the year, and that I haven't worked out the maths, but it was for it to be 15% overall seems to be a little odd when there were so many that were way over at the moment. Toilet supplies seems to be well down for some reason at 4.3%. I don't quite know how we're not putting anything into it, but they're costing us a lot of money. Overall, it just needs some clarification for us, really.
Yeah, absolutely. That's noted. Thank you, Councillor.
I'm assuming, for example, that water on the allotments is half spent because that's when the half-yearly bills come in. And it won't be. So, but I think that it's important on me to have meetings. You see my... So can we note that, please? Go on, Councillor Wilson.
I'm really sorry.
No.
I'm going to take a bit of a risk because it's not an agenda item, but it is on financial side of it, which is the additional verge cutting at 41,692 for this year. There was a motion passed, I'm going to say 18 months ago, for the council to investigate the options of us bringing that in-house to save, because when we first took it on, which was the first administration, I wasn't here then, but I believe it was 22 or 23,000 for 2 extra cuts. I think probably Councillor Flynn might know a little bit, but somewhere around there, I think it's doubled nearly in 3 years. And there was a motion passed, so I somehow, I don't know whether I can ask for an update on where we are with getting a quote from somebody to bring it in-house so we've got a greater control, because for the benefit of those that don't know, depends upon where you live, you may not get the benefit of the extra cuts. If you live in the outlying areas of Bexhill, you don't get the 2 extra cuts. In fact, you only get 2 cuts a year, not 6. Which, when that was brought on board at 20-odd thousand, that wasn't made particularly clear by East Sussex County Council. It's only come out because I live in a rural part of Bexhill and I'm not getting the same provision, as are my neighbours not getting the same provision, hence why I put the motion out there to get a quote, and then we can control the amount of cuts that we have for our verges.
I think I'll put it, you've nudged the corporate memory, and now I'll come to the clerk.
So what
you need to look at the previous motion that was
so the council looked at this and passed a motion previously on this matter.
I put a motion forward
on what we're doing,
and that was some 18 months ago, and it's a major
and no one did anything for 18 months.
No, I'm not saying that. No. I'm not saying that at all. There has been some work because I've asked some questions, but I'm not seeing any visibility through this committee about where we are in being in a position to not be held to ransom by Sussex County and charge us whatever they want to next year. And it's gone from 22 to 28 to 30 odd to 42. And we have to be mindful, we've already talked earlier on about it's residents' money. What will it be next year? And that's why I put the motion forward, and I can't, it's sometime in the last 18 months that we would investigate, bring it in-house. Yeah. And there's cost behind that, of course there is, because you've got to get the equipment, employ people, blah, blah, blah. But then East Sussex would pay us for the cuts that they currently do. Then we can make the town look even nicer. But I don't know where that is.
Okay, so I'll take that away, thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Flynn. Yeah, just to go a bit further on that, because I think Councillor Wilson's hit on a point here, because whilst we're in this state of turmoil with the Unity Authority not knowing what it's going to be doing and the district councils not knowing when they're going to devolve or not devolve, it probably stands to our benefit to look about getting certain services in-house that we can. And we will be future-proofing our grass cutting in this town if we did that, because then it wouldn't matter what happened to the Unity Authority and everything. We will be looking after it ourselves and getting some money from whichever authority it is, hopefully, to do so. So I'm in favour of considering it and looking into that. I think it's a good option.
That's what my motion was.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
We'll report back. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, I've got a point. As I recall, there was a great dissatisfaction with the standard and frequency of grass cuts. So we said we would fund an extra 2. But all that seemed to be happening was they cut it back to 4 cuts. So we were paying for half the cuts, but we weren't getting the 6 cuts.
I think that is something I'll probably point it towards the town rangers and John here. That with anything we say we do, what is our process for monitoring that East Sussex have actually come and done us some extra?
I could answer that, Chair.
Go on then.
There's a link on our website that links to East Sussex County Council, and they update it when their grass is cut by roads. And councillors should be obligated to go and check their walls to see whether it's done or not. That's down to us and our residents to check whether it's done. If it's not done, then we come back through here and our administrators then get on to East Sussex County Council. That's what should happen, but we don't actually do that, and we should do. We should hold East Sussex to ransom if they're not doing it.
I'm hoping, because I was very impressed with my first look at the website, I'm hoping that's going to be easier to find with all the 5 years worth of stuff taken away from the main screen.
It is a question I asked of the communications today via email about where that is, so it will be easier to find, because that's the tool that we should all be using.
Because we were all amazed that you knew that, and now you've revealed that you emailed and got told the answer to it.
I knew where it was on the old website. It was right down the bottom, but I don't know if it was on the new one.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Right, so, and I've learned something. So, do we note these with the proviso that obviously Adam's going to go back to Michelle with some of the answers for the questions, especially on the future assets, etc. We note these, yeah?
Noted.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
9, discretionary services. Come on. Is that the...
We haven't got an appendix for discretionary service.
Oh, right.
Just in the agenda.
Oh, right. Have you got a bill up?
This is well, my understanding is this is a standing agenda item, and so there isn't a particular update. Previously, this meeting was quite concerned with discussion of the toilet arrangements, but obviously things have advanced since those conversations, and we are expecting the relevant licence documents to come to council very soon, following all the discussions about the toilets previously. So that's the update, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, they'll come when they come. Some of the things, and I say this as a rather district councillor, some of the things have rather take an awful long time to get where they should be. Right, agenda item 10, the Glyn Gap sculpture, Serpillay sculpture, to receive a report, which we have had from June. This is from Paul. I'm going to start with, if there's any questions. My problem with this, I'll just say this now, right. The council, full council, have not said they support this in any way, shape or form. They said we would investigate it. It's come to this committee to investigate, and we have investigated through the officers for something like 15 months. We are no further forward than we were 15 months ago. We allocated £6,000, up to £6,000 to go to highways, because that's what they would need to begin their investigations. We have given them nothing, we have nothing to give them for them to begin their investigations. We have figures that have been put in here based on figures from January 25. So the £120,000 is a guesstimate. We still don't know the officers has been put in touch with one potential manufacturer, and he has offered to meet them, but that has still not happened. But we do not know what it's proposed to be made of. These are guesses, best guesses from our officer, that it would be marine steel. There are many things that fit that description, so he's gone with the best ones. That would be the car. We don't have anything of what the figures would be made of, and whether, I doubt if they could be solid. They would almost certainly have to be hollow. Even with the way it would be fixed on the ground. Again, the officer has gone with his best guess of 2 concrete plinths, but whether it's sunk or raised, I suspect highways might well go, no way you're going to have a concrete plinth in the middle of a roundabout. So we don't know any more than we did 15 months ago. So I think no matter what I think this committee decides tonight, whether it's to press ahead with the investigation for another 2 months to our next meeting, or whether it's to actually call a halt to this, I think either one of those, or whatever come up there, needs to go to full council for the ultimate decision, because the council have not yet ever said that we want to progress this other than investigate. And we spent 15 months investigating and are nowhere. That's my my thoughts on it, but I'll come to Councillor Goss and Councillor Clune. Councillor Goss.
I think it should be progressed. It's got to go to full council. On the basis, and quickly, as we said last time, on the basis that it's the centenary coming up of the whole thing, and it's part of the basis of Bexhill with the racing, and it's our history. In terms of what it's made of, yeah, this is conjecture on a lot of it. I was going to suggest a different material called Core-10. These materials, the stainless, yes, you could use it. I think it would have to be a matte stainless finish, because otherwise you're going to get reflections and things of the headlights and whatever, and they might be turned down on that basis. The people, or the guy with the flag, again, that could be wireframe, or it could be just silhouette. The soldiers down by the War Memorial wireframe, it'd need to be something a bit chunkier than that to make it stand out, but it could be that, or just silhouette. The material that I was suggesting, I mean, there's a lot of problems with finishes and how those done, and people have talked about it has to be fiberglass for the figure and this sort of thing, which will then need maintenance, decoration, etc. Core-10 is a steel which was the darling of the architects about 20 years ago. It basically looks like a rusty steel, but the surface rust is what protects it. It is designed for this sort of thing, and so it doesn't need maintenance. If you want to see something made out of it, at Liverpool Street Station there is a massive monument thing, which is like plates of steel. But it's something that in engineering terms I've used on sort of facilities like that, and I've known architects use it a lot in buildings. In that era it was something they loved because it maintains this orangey finish. It's not shiny, there's no maintenance involved. So I just think that may be worth investigating to do that, and maybe the figure as a silhouette or something. In terms of the groundworks, or in terms of the cost, one thing that's missing on there at the moment is a structural engineer, because you have to have a structural engineer's input to fill out the forms that are required. So there's probably going to be another 5k or something for that. And for designing the base, the plinth, which I would have thought would have been flush with the ground, and then you mount this thing on top of it. But it's just my imagination of what it is. I think that's about it. I mean, it is a matter of what we need. We've got to fill out these forms to go to highways. It's how we provide all this information, and we need to do it pretty quickly if we're going to do it, because otherwise it's going to be too late. I think the manufacturing periods in here might be a little speculative and short of too.
But if I can say, but even then, and this is, I say, we're waiting for one particular manufacturer fabricator to come back to officers. But, for example, you've just suggested perhaps it could be a different type of steel. And I'm not criticising you for that, but somebody somewhere, be it a manufacturer, has to say this is what it's going to be, so that the information can go to highways.
Yes.
So that highways can always come back and say you can't make it out of that, you can't make it shiny, you can't. But we don't know, because we haven't got anything yet to send them.
Is it feasible to have discussion with highways as a pre-application to know the sort of thing that they would?
My understanding is that has happened, and in principle they would agree, but they need details now to go beyond that principle. The same as planning permission with Rother has been granted in principle, but again, once you get the details, it might be no way, Jose, and that's the problem, that we've got nothing at the moment. I mean, if you remember last time, suddenly a different design for a different shape came over the horizon, and we said for ease we'd stick with this one, so that we could try and fix something. But we haven't got anything fixed.
Going to be a meeting with the Braithwaites who were promoting this art.
Yeah, the Brailsfords.
Brailsfords, sorry.
Brailsfords, yeah.
I'll come to one of this started life. I have remembered you, Councillor Plym, don't we? And then there's some more hands there, don't we? This started life when Mrs. Brailsford was mayor.
Way before that.
Well, way before that, but she became involved herself personally when she was mayor. And this is not a criticism of them, but it's how we've arrived at. It's not our project, because they're contacting manufacturers, they're seeking other funding so that it wouldn't necessarily come out of the public purse. So it's still very much a shared project, and that's why I say there comes a point where perhaps somewhere we say, thank you, it will become a council project and the council will take it on, noticing what you've said, taking cognizance of what you've said, or the council have to say, no, we can't progress it anymore, but you can always come, Mr. and Mrs. Browse can always come back with something if they had more, because 15 months of not going anywhere is not doing anyone any favours. And I'm looking to progress this or to stop this. It's one or the other. And personally, I've just got to say, I would love to have a statue of the Serpent car on that roundabout welcoming people to Bexhill. But that doesn't mean to say it can happen just because I want it. Councillor Plim.
Yeah, this has been rumbling along for some time, and I have to say speed is of the essence. It predates. Did you pick that? You picked that one up?
Yeah, we got that.
It predates this council, this idea actually, and we were passed down to us anecdotally by people within RDC who couldn't get along with it and couldn't move it along. We have now been able to work with the people that suggested it, as you're quite right. Mrs. Brailsford suggested it when she was mayor, and they did have a manufacturer, but they were based in China, so it wasn't deemed to be economically or ecologically friendly to have an item coming over from China. Their local manufacturers have been in contact, and for whatever reason, Playfoot has come forward as an option to use. It seems to be it's like a game of chess. You've got to move very slowly, but sooner or later we will get there, and just hope we don't sort of I just hope it's not too late. I've got a feeling it will be by the time we do get round to it, but I think the key would be to try and find the funding. And if we could get the confidence that there is some additional external funding, as we have been led to believe there is, from national agencies, national bodies, I think their influence on this matter will greatly speed up the chances of this happening. But I think we need to be confident we could get that input from them. Because if we don't, I will be very reluctant to go towards the taxpayers of Bexhill to pay something like, well, it's going to be more than 120,000, probably going to be 150, 200,000 to pay for this. As much as I would like it, I don't think that sort of money will be well spent in this. But from external sources, if we can get funding for this, go for it. But please, let's get that secured before we run with it.
Don't worry, Councillor Thomas, I will be coming to you, don't we? You haven't got to sit there with your hands up. And Councillor Wilson after Councillor Byrne. I take your point, but this is part of the problems as well. So what you've just said is external funding. The council aren't looking for external funding at the moment.
Well, we should be.
Because we haven't said we'll support this.
But we should be looking for
the full
external
council
funding.
haven't said we support this as a project to be taken forward. The council said we can investigate it.
And through that investigation, if we bring back external funding, it will be easier for full council to come to a conclusion as to where they lie with it. If we come to them and then they say, well, it's going to cost us a lot of money, go back and get the external funding, that delays matters. Go for this external funding. If it's out there, hunt it down, grab them by the neck and bring them down and let them spend their money with us to put this in place.
From one conversation I had today, there's not a lot of external funding that would be interested in this sort of thing. But obviously,
well, let's see it in writing.
Mr. Brailsford did suggest someone or a group.
Yeah.
And also, with the timing, it would be nice for it to be May 2027. But that's a nice, it's not a must.
Yeah.
You know. Councillor Thomas and Councillor Byrne.
Yes, we're talking about putting the circular there or not. There is a third alternative, and that is to put it somewhere more appropriate. Because in the roundabout, in a very busy road, people try like Brands Hatch. It's not really the best. I mean, this would greatly complicate building in the first place. I wouldn't like to walk across to the roundabout. We should be thinking about doing it, but elsewhere. And apart from anything else, it would be a lot cheaper, say, along by the Delaware.
Thank you. Councillor Byrne, then Councillor Wilson, and Councillor Lee. Councillor Byrne.
Thank you. It's a mess, and I think it's a mess because we are mixing a private interest project, operational details, and council motions. And whilst unless we pull it apart and are clear in our own minds of which bit is which, we're going to carry on with this. I can't do A until B, B till C, C till A. So, as far as I can see, the first thing we've got to do is have a motion to council with a design, not necessarily construction materials specific, but with a design, and say, come the full council say we would like this on the roundabout, and that's got to be signed off as a yes, we want this. We then, it's in a position to go to highways and say we want something that looks like this. In fact, I have a feeling they might come back and say you can't have solid figures. So, but very quickly, I think we could say, you know, they like this sort of line drawing, so the council want it. Highways say, in theory, it's okay. Then there can be a quick discussion about the type of materials. Do we want something that, if an Arctic goes across the roundabout, dents its front or wipes out the drive, all those. And I'm sure highways have a pretty much a tick list of what you can put in the middle of a roundabout and what you can't in the way of materials. So that would bottom that out reasonably quickly. So I think first you've got to go for council approval of a design visually. Then you've got to go for that, then says you can go to highways with something rather than an abstract. You could also then go back to the private project and say we like it, and it's a council decision then, do we commission a team of the Brailsfords Plus to do this, or do we say we want to take it away from you and we'll do it all? And I reckon on officer time we probably would need to have a project team, if you like, a sort of civilian project team that we are supporting rather than the other way around. But we've got to do one or the other. We can't still say, is this the Brailsfords going for funding? Are we going for funding? Is it a council project? Is it a private project that the council is supporting? We've got to disentangle that and make some very quick. There's only about 3 or 4 decision points on that, and it should be reasonably easy to say which one is the responsibility of which person.
My understanding is, be it full council or this committee, went with the design that's in the paper of the person with his hand up in the air and the man waving the flag.
This was with the Engagement and Communication Committee. It came through them.
Yeah.
We agreed the design and all the other bits and pieces. We had lots of reports about manufacturers and all the rest of it, but it got to the point where it wasn't really necessary to keep it in the engagement and communication because it was going to be an amenity.
Yeah.
So it had to be pushed over to passed over to amenities, but in order for amenities to pick it up.
So that design.
So can we in this committee tonight say we want to go ahead with the design?
Well, that design.
That's what the next step is on the report.
Good.
That design is the one that has had unofficial or maybe official conversations with National Highways, who have agreed it in principle, but they need details. They're at the stage where they need to know that there are only 2 measurements, 5 metres and 2.5 metres. There's no measurements about the thickness of the steel, the thickness of, or what the size is. the manufacturer needs, or the potential manufacturer, and that's the other thing, that we've gone out to tenders, and we did have a tender process before. That was where Clark before last. But in fact, that tender process didn't get any response, possibly because it was on our website and not on the government here's a contract talk website. It was only ever on our website. So actually we didn't have anyone tender for that. The manufacturer came from Mr. and Mrs. Brailsford, and as you say, it was China and that, and then there's some others have come forward. But I can see perhaps that we end up saying it goes for another 2 months for at least the officer to meet with this manufacturer to come up with some details that they can give to Highways for a discussion. But all I'm saying is the points you were making, Councillor Byrne, I think we've done that, and we're now at we can't move forward.
It's definitely signed off.
If you read the report on here, the next step is to decide whether to approve what we've got in front of us to take it forward.
Yes.
And I'm sure the clerk will be able to tell us what taking it forward would mean.
Well, my understanding is what Councillor Drayson said at the beginning, which is that basically what this committee has been asked to do, Councillor Drayson, I believe, is to, having been shown with the point to which the investigations have got, to say they're happy for the investigation to continue. Because a final decision to endorse a project of this scale could only be made by full council. It couldn't be made by this committee anyway. So, but the investigation work should continue to get to a point when a formal full council decision can be made. Is that correct? Have I got that correct, Councillor? Thank you, Councillor Johnson. So we're on the same page. So that's what this committee is being basically asked to confirm this evening. The investigation should continue to go to full council, but obviously Councillor, for your patience, but I have been asked a question which I need to answer. So basically, the situation is that this is a really useful discussion because all of these points are then being catched by Lally in the minutes, but also therefore fed into the next stages of that process. So it's a really fantastic discussion to capture all of these points, and then this committee needs to confirm the investigations are continuing, which would then bring a decision to full council at the right point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson.
I agree with most of what everyone has said, but there are a few exceptions. I don't believe that this report is anywhere near ready to go to full council because it will be pulled apart because there are flaws within it, and it's not a criticism of any officer who's written it. We need help to do this, and to do that we've got to employ somebody to help us to prepare to get this done if the council want to do it. I've said it before, we're not structural engineers. The closest we've got as a councillor is Councillor Goss, who understands these sort of general principles, and I'm being really honest, I don't know what's achievable down there because we haven't contacted an expert. We haven't followed the correct procurement process because the procurement process is anything over £25,000, it goes on to the national procurement. We haven't done that. We found somebody who knows somebody who lives locally who they're going to meet up with. There's somebody else who has done work locally, I think his name's Lee, who did the sculpture, and his name was provided to the previous clerk, and they haven't been contacted, and the work that they do is exceptional. You can go down the seafront and look at it, and they're not included, and they should be. We haven't dealt with the horsetail issue on the roundabout. To get rid of horsetail, whatever you do, you'll be stuck with it unless you get professionals in. That's not in the costings. Again, unless you know about horsetail, you wouldn't even think about it, but it's venomous. Councillor Goss mentioned the different type of material. You don't have to go to Liverpool Street Station. Go to just before you get to Drusilla's. The South Down National Park entrance is used by that material. I thought it was rusted after about 3 weeks. It wasn't. It's meant to do that, and it's robust enough to last for 100 years. So if you want to go and look at that type of material, have a day out to Drusilla's. It's just before you get there on the right-hand side. The timetable, I think, is admirable to have that in place, but is not achievable. And the crucial thing is that if the installation was going to happen in March 27, how was that going to happen? Because it needs to be precepted. and we won't have the money until after the 1st of April. So the installation can't take place by that time. We mustn't lose sight of the fact that full council discussed it, gave it to committee to come up with a plan, and I don't consider this plan is anywhere near detailed enough to go back to full council and get the council to agree to spending at least 120,000, by which time, by the time it gets it, it'll be 150,000. We should not get involved in a third party arrangement with currently residents. We're either going to take this on, or we push back and say, if you want to do it, apply for a grant from us and use the grant scheme. There's crowdfunding, there's sponsorships for businesses, there's Formula One. That is one of the reasons why this has become messy, Chair, because there's too much involvement from our external, and we don't have, as our officers, enough experience and expertise to prepare the documentation. I'm not criticising. It's a very specialist role. I'd love to see this happen, but it ain't going to happen by next year, I'm sure. Sorry, got to be realistic. I'm managing expectations.
I'll just go back to the point. It's not just the expertise, it's the information at the moment.
Yes.
The officer hasn't got the information to go anywhere.
So how we move this forward, I really don't know.
While you were speaking, something was coming in my brain, but Councillor Lee.
No, I was just going to follow up with what Alan was saying. Will you actually get permission from Highways to put a metal structure on that roundabout?
We don't know till we ask.
Secondly, the start line for the races down here. I mean, Terry, you know this. You know this. It's halfway up Galley Hill. There's a big plaque up there. That's where the start line is for the. I mean, if they wanted one of these car structures, surely that would be a better place to put it. And for me personally, on that roundabout, I can't see the structure being put in there. And even if it was put there, when we've got people coming past it, would they realise what it was? Would they recognise that it's a car? Would they recognise it's that Bexhill was the start of motor racing? I would have, my personal thing, I'd have had a start line up there. That's what I'd put on the roundabout. That would create an interest. Why would you're coming into Bexhill? Here's your start line, like a Grand Prix start line. That's what I'd put there. If they wanted to circle it, I'd have it on Galley Hill, on the start line, where the thing all started. I know I'm meddling the pot.
No.
That's you know that's what
it's
I'm
highlighting. Don't worry, Councillor Goss, I've seen your country. You're highlighting because we've had alternative materials, alternative locations. Still, but again, for an officer to take it forward, the officer can't take it forward with, well, it could be this or it could be that.
If that circle was up on the start line, then it would just be RDC to do the planning. It wouldn't be Highways.
We have a circle,
but we've got one already.
Seafront
already.
Yeah.
And
I just can't see how it would benefit Bexhill having that on that roundabout. I can see people going past it and wondering what the bloody hell that is.
Councillor Goss, Councillor.
I guess that's sort of part of it. People wonder what it is and ask questions. But in terms of putting things on a roundabout, there are lots of roundabouts with figures on them, and also look at Battle. There is an enormous thing on the main roundabout there, and going on from there is whether they allow things on roundabouts. If you check out Pevensey roundabout, there's enormous trees growing up through the thing. I mean, they don't do you an awful lot of good, and you can't see through it to the other side. So in some ways it may even make the roundabout safer, in that people have to brake more if they can't see everything in direct line of sight. And the moment they think it's clear, they zap straight round it, sort of thing. So I think from that point of view, it's always been that the thing should go on a roundabout as the entrance to Bexhill. But as not to say there isn't other positions.
It would be more obvious that it was a car, because the one we've got on the seafront now, it's a structure. Fair play, and I saw the one that Paul Rainsford pulled down here. it needs to be a bit more obvious of what it actually is. Depending on which angle you come at it, or which angle you come from around it.
The railways
it doesn't
had
obviously
a
say it's a
model
car.
of it. I mean, whether that model could go to highways and say this is what we're planning.
I think,
I mean, okay.
I'm not sure if we've got permission,
Well,
possession
no,
of
it
the
would
model
have
or
to be
not. I think
done
we
with-
might have possession of the model. But yeah, it's Councillor Plym.
Quite possibly. I'm probably the only one that sat on the Communication Engagement Committee on this, and you're all talking the same sort of things that we spoke about for months and months on end.
Yeah.
There. Well, it's the same things coming out. Oh,
Give
put
it
it
to
here,
us.
put it there, make it of this, make it of that, make it of the other, make it, oh, can't we go here, can't we go there? We've had all those discussions. We've got the plan in front of us. We've got to decide whether to approve this in order to take the project forward. Simple as that. Do we say yes? We're not spending the money yet. It's got to go to full council. So let's go forward and say, give the clerk the ability to say, right, look at it further. That's all we're asking, to go forward with the project.
Before I come
Yes or no?
Before I come to you, Councillor Wilson.
I've been here.
Well, no, because I
Several years
accept
ago,
the point, but the
There's a lack of communication from the Engagement Communication Committee to the asset.
No, the lack of other councillors reading the minutes of other committees. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Not knowing
we
what the
can't
council's
approve
doing.
it. We can recommend that full council approve it because we can't approve it because of the size of it. But we can, because I take your point. I'm coming back to you, Councillor Wilson. I take your point that this report has got gaps because there's gaps in the information.
Right.
So one way forward, and it's forget about 2027. One way forward would be for us tonight not to approve the project, but to carry on with the investigation till our next meeting so that the officer can properly engage with the one manufacturer we've mentioned. We can always, and I suspect, and I'll come to the clerk on this one, the points that were made, we didn't advertise it in the right place. So it's a bit like Donald Trump's swimming pool guy doing the reflecting pool. We can't necessarily just pick a name that was given to us and we have to put it out for tender because of the amount involved, and we'd have to put that out in the right place. But the immediate problem is our investigation has got nowhere. It's presented this, but I suspect, and the officer himself says, you know, he's not dying on a ditch to defend his document, but it's the because he talks about signing a budget. Again, that's for full council. That's not for us.
That's not on here.
Well, it is. The next steps are, but we need to say either we kick it into touch now, or we say to the officer, we say carry on with the investigation. But there is, to me, also this other point that's been brought up of, and perhaps it's too soon at this point, perhaps if the council agreed to take up the project, they take over the project. Not just take it up, they take it over to get it to the finishing line. But that's down the line. Tonight, we've got this report from the officer, and he's got next steps. But I know he's asked to meet Playfoot, is it? Playfoot. I know he's asked to meet them. They haven't replied to that email yet to talk through at least some ideas. So he's got something to give to highways, which, as he says here, send a comprehensive design to highways. We've got a model, but it doesn't. We don't know yet if that model can be made in the shape that model is. So we run the risk of having this conversation in 2 months, or more than 2 months because it's September. We run this risk of having this conversation again in 2 months' time or 3 months' time.
2 years' time.
But by then, we will either have something from the officer, or we will still have absolutely nothing. In which case, I would be saying, let's kick it into touch. because that's... Councillor Wilson, you were next.
Thank you. I don't really know how to say this, but sometimes you have to invest money into something to make something happen. And I think we should go and employ a professional who knows what they're doing with all of this stuff and spend some money to make sure that the information that is provided is up to specification, will match what highways, and I know, can't remember the chap's name, Mr. Farncombe or something like that, who was from highways, and he agreed in principle with what was on the table. And we need to just say, we're going to do this, but we have to employ somebody with the correct structural qualifications, knows what they're talking about, has done it before, and Google will find someone like that. We don't need to just go to a local fabricator and say, is this right, will this match, because he's going to say what he wants to get the job for what he wants the job for. And then you're relying upon one person, and rest assured it will be another disaster like the fountains down the seafront, where we don't have the right technical advice, we don't have the right backup, and this is a lot of money that we could potentially lose if we don't do it right, and we don't have anybody with the qualifications in our council to say whether it's right or wrong. And I'm not qualified to know whether it's right or wrong. So if this went to full council now, it's just going to come back to another committee. Then it'll go to another committee, and as Councillor Plim says, we're running out of committees for it to go to.
We'll get it to finance.
To see
we'll
whether,
get it to finance.
And then it'll go to HR subcommittee to see whether there's any HR involved. It's just going round and round and round because we don't have anybody with the qualifications to give us confidence that it is safe and practical and financially okay to do. We're afraid to make that decision, to be fair. And that's why it's gone round and round. We should employ someone to help us.
I've got that. I've got Councillor Gostin, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Gostin.
Yeah, I agree with what Councillor Wilson said. For a project of this size, you have to advertise it anyway in European Journal or something, and all this and that. You could advertise it out for a design and construct project. So basically, the people who respond will be engineers and architects together, something, and they will then come up with what they can be made of. I mean, you can put it out with pictures of the model and say this is what the intention is. We want a team to come and do the final design, detailed design, and construct it, and get approvals from highways, that sort of thing.
That first tender thing that went to the wrong place was actually for a design and build. So we've got no replies. Councillor Thomas.
Yes, this has got HS2 written all over it. Because we're talking about 125,000. But we haven't got past the paperwork stage. More appropriate is probably the Lower Thames crossing, where they spent umpteen billions and then they're talking about scrapping it. But they didn't, because they spent too much money on the first stage. My fear would be that full council are going to look at this thing and say yes, another HS2, and scrap the idea, and then we'll lose the idea when my fellow councillor and I would like to see it in Bexhill town centre in a more appropriate setting. I mean, what connection does Serpollet have with that roundabout? Probably wasn't even there. Let's not scrap it, but let's put forward to full council that we go ahead with it, but put it on the seafront where it belongs.
There's already one on the seafront.
Yeah.
Councillor Byrne.
Thank you. That was really why I said I thought the first thing was for the council to decide that they did want something this shape on that roundabout. And it may not get 100% approval, but that is we don't even seem to have got that far. We've got a load of detail about a design that might be approved. We've got We've got opinions about the design might be nice, can we get it somewhere else? We've got to put a peg in the ground. And I think the things that are definite at the moment is it should be on the roundabout, it should look like this. And I think if there is a majority of opinion for that, we needn't discuss anymore. I mean, I'm not poo-pooing the ideas. I fully understand why you're saying let's have it somewhere else. But this discussion was not about we're making a Circle A, where do we put it? It was we've got a roundabout, what do we have on it? So that's why it's like, we've got a roundabout, what do we have on it? Let's have something about motor racing. And let's set that in concrete. Or not, but let's do it one way or another.
Or say,
Not in concrete.
that's a silly place to put it.
Well, I take your point completely, and but it might be that you're not in the majority there.
With that in mind, Councillor, may I suggest a motion that this whole project be put forward to full council for approval because there's a certain degree of uncertainty within this committee?
That would be
Right, but before I second that, there's still this gap of then, in the meantime, do we ask the officer to carry on the investigation? And taking Councillor Wilson's point, do we, I don't know, it's a finger in the air job, but does the £6,000 that we allocated, we knew we allocated it for highways, but it's in the budget as Circle A, do we spend that on getting a structural engineer to advise the clerk to work, not the clerk, sorry, to work with the officer?
I'll reword my motion then, shall I? This committee feels that this motion should be, that this project should be passed up to full council once the clerk has updated the data required. Would that be right?
Sorry, Chair.
I'm thinking off the top of my head.
The full council's already decided about this project by giving it to a committee to investigate it.
And then to go back to the council when it's finished.
We haven't finished investigating it because from what I'm hearing, we're not comfortable with what we've got. We don't have enough information, so there's no point going back to full council because it will then just come back to committee and that's 4 months gone.
I think we need what were they asked to investigate? They were asked to investigate putting something like this on this roundabout.
Yes, the clue here
so that is already in stone, is it?
The clue here is in the project line gap.
I mean, I apologise, I wasn't on the committee way back then.
And as Councillor Plim says, this has been on the table for years, since the inception of the Town Council and before. And it's always been known as line gap sculpture.
Right.
I think this needs.
So hang on. So to now change that,
no.
You've got to go back to full council to ask full council to change that. So I'm sorry, councillors, I don't think it's appropriate. This is called the line gap sculpture. Whether we agree or not, that's what it was defined to go to a committee to investigate.
Absolutely.
And we should carry out.
I think what we need there, obviously we're never going to agree on this in this council tonight. What we need then is we need a picture. We want to know what it looks like. We know what it's going to cost. We know what it's going to be. And that way we can then vote if we want to go ahead with it.
We've got it.
Right. Where's the picture? Where's the car?
It's all there.
It's there. So where's the problem? Where's the hold up? Do we want this or don't we? There's the answer. There's the question. Do we or don't we want this?
Full council said before they can make up their mind, they want a bit more info by having an investigation carried out. Our investigation so
Why would you need to spend £6,000 on highways to investigate?
Because
it's a roundabout.
Because that's that's what National Highways is their starting figure to even send their people out, and if it only costs 4,000, they'll give us 2,000 back. But that's the money they need up front.
That's the rule
before they come out. So I'm seeing from this. I'm getting it's taken a long time to get it. That before this can go to full council, this committee has to do the job that it was given of investigating it and reporting back to council with the result of its investigations.
So
now, the trouble is, I'm just thinking, the next meeting of this The next meeting of this committee is September, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's council's meetings happening before that, but it seems terribly wrong to say that this would have to come back to this meeting for us to decide it in September, which would mean it wouldn't be going to full council till October, and so, which is why I said forget about 2027. But I think that's the only way we can do it, unless the officer gets so much information that we can call an extraordinary general meeting of this committee to get it to council quicker than that. So I'm thinking, this is me, I know we don't like chairman coming up with motions.
Go for it. Go on.
There you go. So this is me to say that because there's a cost involved in this as well. So we wish the officers to continue investigating with the latest fabricator that's been suggested, to get the details of that one design from that one person to highways. Because until we get something to highways and they say, not on our watch, we don't know where we're going. So it could come back and they could tweak it and all those things. But we've got nothing yet other than a nod from highways that says it seems acceptable. But anything seems acceptable until you get the details. But there's also this thing of our officer is also not an expert in fabrication and etc. etc. So perhaps we do need to say, give him the authority, no, not the authority, but we need to give him the money to talk to a structural engineer or someone with the requisite knowledge after he's spoken to the fabricator, because whilst the fabricator would know his business, his or her business, that doesn't mean to say that it would be, because that's why you have structural engineers who check afterwards to make sure it's right and it doesn't fall down. So I'm thinking that we need to say, go back, allow the officer to meet with the fabricator to seek what advice he needs, even if that money comes out of that 6,000 at the moment, because it's in the budget, that he seeks the advice he needs to then complete the investigation to a point where it can come back for us to make a decision. Because at the moment, it's a pile of sand and everything's moving.
I second that motion if Lally has managed to write it down.
Oh, she's written it so many times in so many different ways.
So basically, the motion. Sorry, let me focus for a minute. The motion is basic. Sorry, I'll wait for Councillor Lee to finish speaking.
Sorry, go on.
So basically, the motion. So paraphrase your motion, because Halali has something. Okay. The committee. So the committee confirms the investigation should continue, including meeting with the fabricator, so that a design can be prepared for a highways consideration, and to identify any additional expert support required.
Yeah.
How does that sound?
Can I just identify it, seek it? Yeah. Actually
identify and seek.
Not just identify it, seek it.
Well, identify and seek. Councillor Trace, we put that in as well.
But before I come to
Councillor Wilson, maybe
he's done this a few years, hasn't he? Yeah. Councillor Flynn, then Councillor Wilson.
Furthermore, to seek out any external funding for this project.
Don't you think we're doing that bit?
Yeah.
No. That's a different sort of expertise.
Well, you could interpret export support to include fundraising, so that probably can be broad enough.
Yeah, because there are opportunities we've been told are there.
You want a fundraiser.
We just need to make that connection between us and them.
Councillor Wilson.
Could we include the fabricator as to contact two fabricators and include the one that did the work at the rowing club? Because his name was put forward to the previous clerk before this name was suggested.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfair for somebody who's done work locally and is locally based to not give them the same opportunity as these other people have.
Yeah, because that's a nice little rowing thing there.
Yeah.
By the club.
We put an S on the fabricator then.
Fabricators.
Fabricators.
There you go.
Even brackets S if you want. So that
And following Councillor Plim, could I ask that the clerk use his influence in the neighbourhood board to get a match funding joint project potential in the future?
Okay, I can talk to BNB about that.
That may well.
Do you need that in the motion?
No.
That may well help because it's external funding. And there will be two names there.
It's a capital project.
Brilliant idea.
I can talk to BNB about it. That's fine. I'll just do that.
We got there in the end.
So that was the motion
So
proposed.
that's the motion.
I think it was seconded.
Anyone seconding it?
Yeah, it got seconded.
All those in favour?
Getting
passed.
Right, just because I know
It's
it
also
was.
the longest motion ever.
I know Councillor Lee just said that didn't take long at all, but it takes as long as it takes, and you all got valid points to make.
Yeah.
And we were nowhere. Hopefully we can get somewhere, because after 15 months we were nowhere. So thank you for that.
Did we deal with it's our project and our project alone?
No.
Okay.
I suspect that may be a matter for full.
Yeah, that's part of the investigation, isn't it?
So that's investigation.
So exactly, you'll have to decide implementation, but that's not. You don't need to decide that now.
No.
So, thank you.
Yeah. See,
We got that. So,
everything's downhill from now.
You see?
Stand by and call out allowance. Right. Agenda item 11. Right.
yeah, that's an appendix for this one.
Yeah.
Appendix
Appendix
D.
D. It's for us to review it and presumably approve it. It says to review standby.
Yeah, it's review.
Yeah.
I have to say that the agenda and appendices structure on the website is so much better than it was before.
Yeah,
it's so much easier to navigate. So thank you for that.
So are there any observations on the standby and call out policy? Councillor Wilson.
I was looking round to give everyone the opportunity. So this has been a bit of a bone of contention for me since we took over the operation of Devonshire Square toilets, and that's when I was chair of amenities for a period of time, and there was a motion passed that there should be a plaque put on Devonshire Square toilets, which never actually happened, and we should employ a company and their name would be on there with a phone number, because our then previous clerk had her own mobile number on there, and I felt that was considerably inappropriate to receive a phone call 24/7. That never actually happened, and I don't know why it never happened. I don't believe that with the limited resource that we have, that it should be something that operationally we should be responsible for. We should pay a company to cover any emergencies that occur during out of hours, and it's quite simple at the moment. If there's a water leak, you turn the water off and deal with it the next day. I think we are creating something here that may be needed when we have more facilities and more staff. At the moment we have toilets and it's simple, you turn the water off. And also we don't have any precept costs for this. So it wouldn't be able to start until it's precepted. So in principle I don't have any issues with it, bar the fact we didn't do what we were meant to do some 2.5 years ago, which is to employ a company with a plaque on the wall to say, in an emergency, phone this telephone number and it will be answered.
Well, we did have a company then, didn't we, working on the toilets. We don't have a company now.
But we never had a plaque, Chair.
No, but we haven't got a company now to put on there. We would have to
You'd have an empty plaque.
Employ.
We would
company
employ
just to cover.
The suggestion was you would have a local company, like a small builder company, who provide out of hours calls, which there are companies that do that, and they would cover out of hours. That was when we only had like 3 men and that was it.
You mean like having a plumber on retainer?
Yeah. Why would we cover this? Because I'm pretty sure that most other councils wouldn't have that. They would employ someone to do it, or they would sub it out to somebody. And that's what I thought was meant to be happening back from when we first took over Devonshire Square toilets. And if you go back over the minutes, if you wanted to, that was a motion that was passed.
Well, I'm just coming to you, Councillor Flynn, don't worry. No, you should keep your hand up. But we've now taken that in-house, looking after them, servicing them. You're suggesting that actually we need, the obvious thing is a plumber's, isn't it? It's the most obvious. On retainer, to be called out, and to charge the council as and when it's called out.
But it needs to be a company with sufficient people to do it, because I mean, one thing I was adding on this on sea was basically whoever's doing this, covering it, can't be taking drink, drugs or anything else, and they've got to be, the availability must be there without.
Yeah.
There are plenty of these 24-hour plumbers around.
Chair, can I interject?
Yeah, John.
Going back to the previous contractors we had, Wettons, the only time that anyone was called out was when Wettons were on duty, because it would be an issue that they had discovered when they were locking up. And the only person that was normally called out was me, because I live in Bexhill. And that's fine, because that's my job. But never have we ever been called out after the toilets have been locked up, because nothing can happen in the toilets once they've been locked up. So to have, with respect, to have a plaque on the wall saying, if in doubt, well, nobody's going to call anyone out because there isn't going to be an issue. I think, Chair and Town Clerk, this is looking forward to when we take on more assets as an operational service, when we have perhaps, well, I don't know, whatever we take on, and there is a necessity to have someone on call, not necessarily John because he lives in Bexhill, then we will need to expand. But at the minute, the only time I've been called out, and I haven't been called out since because we got rid of Wettons and I'm dealing with it, we don't need a call-out service. Councillor Wilson, you're quite right, because there's nothing to be called out for. But I think this is, from what I understand, Chair and Town Clerk, this is looking forward to when we take on a lot more of the assets that are coming our way. If that's any help.
I'm glad you clarified that, John, because I could see that it's a future-proofing policy. It's a policy to put in place now for when it's required. We don't want to be caught off the hoof in a couple of months' time thinking, oh, we haven't got that policy, we must put it in place. So we've got it in place. It needs to be agreed and just signed off. It's brilliant. I think it's a brilliant policy. And thank you very much for what you're doing at the moment, keeping those toilets open.
And living in Bexhill. Councillor, I forgot to say Councillor.
I was going to say, it sort of leads into other things, looking to the future when we take over all these other assets, which seems to be a complete mess at the moment. We don't know when anything's happening or anything about it. That there is going to be a lot more needed, and probably a lot more experience, if you like, than our current team has got, because they're going to be taking on all sorts of other things. It's going to need to expand. I don't know what happens when these things suddenly come over. RDC signed a bit of paper, gives it, right, it's down to you to do this, look after this. Some things have been coming up recently on another thing I'm on the Bexhill 100, regarding things like Martin's Law, which putting on events and doing something has big implications and may have for whatever you're maintaining and running. I know RDC have got some sort of teaching or something on this coming up shortly for their own people. So, I mean, presumably there is going to be a lot more expertise that we're going to have to bring in. I don't know if RDC people are tubing into us or quite how it's going to be organised, but at the same time, if this thing is going to be happening imminently, we may need more people and, again, space to put them.
Yeah.
But it's something that is a bit of concern because of other things that I'm involved in.
Chair, I can come back on this point if you want me to. So we've slightly gone away from this to sort of devolution asset transfer more generally, then we'll come back. I've mentioned this previously, but very happy to be clear. 2 key points then. One is that a forward plan is being prepared for council to cover the points that you are making, what assets we think we're getting, what work will need to be done, how will it be done, what staff will be needed, what expert support will be needed, so we can make the necessary plans to make that happen. So that's all going to be within a document that will be coming through council in the weeks and months ahead. And this point 2 is second point is in terms of the asset transfer, yes, discussions continue, and when there's more definitive news, it will obviously come back to council. But the officers at the team we're really clear that we will be supporting you to make the good decision. You won't just have sign here now and cross our fingers for future. You know, we'll have it risk assessed, building surveys done, etc., etc. So you're making informed choices in what we do, and that will also be within the forward plan that we're getting.
It's good. I was more concerned for the officers trying to struggle with it.
That's what we need. Obviously there are staffing implications which will be within the forward plan. And thirdly, coming right back to Martin's Law, yes, our team have been trained in Martin's Law, and the events officer Paul actually has had detailed training upon it, and is actually able to even inform other groups about it. But in terms of all our events now, having necessary risk assessments and other paperwork done in relation to Martin's Law, so we're already across Martin's Law and implementing it.
Please train me.
So I can talk to Paul about talking to you. That'd be great.
Councillor Byrne.
I suppose I'm summarising really. What you've outlined is, by the way, thank you for the information on the way you're handling devolution of assets. That's useful to know. That's going on in the background. So we're in a time where there may well be an increased need for standby or call-out tasks. Yeah. All we're saying here is when these arise, they slot into a policy. Yeah. As Councillor Plume says, it's not sort of ad hoc, how the hell do we do that, what do we pay him, is it double and such and this. We need this policy, and it's a matter of operation as to which staff actually come under this policy, what claims are put in, what it costs us for the standby of the. That's purely operational. We're looking at, do we feel this is a reasonable policy document to control that sort of activity? My view is yes, well worked out. I like it.
All I'd say is call out doesn't actually mean that member staff comes out. That member staff's got a book of useful numbers and other people come out possibly.
Well, that's defined. That's defined as well. I used to get paid for being there on the end of the phone was one rate, and if you actually physically had to go out and mend a computer, it was something else.
I was just thinking myself,
which this does.
Going back in my former training, my former job, when somebody was digging a swimming pool in the cellar of a terraced house, and it fell down. The council came out that night. That was a London Borough Council. But if Rother's not there, we could well be the council that has to come out and deal with the hole in the terrace. But there can be a lot of stuff coming up in the future when that middle tier is gone.
And we need a policy if it comes to us. And let's not discuss if, when, and how. We just know if it comes to us, here's the policy that governs it.
As we're being asked to review this, Councillor Wilson.
I've read it again. I still don't know what the standby call-out payment will apply for.
I was suggesting that was operational.
So, even with assets that are likely to come our way, I still can't see anything that would need us to have a standby call-out. What's this?
Okay. If we don't have it, we don't have it. But if we do, here's how we do it.
So this says that we could pay as an average.
We could.
Between £40 and £100 a week, just in case, even though I can't think of anything by turning the water off.
Well, in that case, that member of the staff wouldn't be. It's operational.
If you wanted a list of when you wanted to be called out, you could end up with a book of reasons.
Yeah.
So it's operational reasons.
Yeah.
If someone calls a number and the operational officer says, right, that's a call out, that's operational.
It is, exactly.
But what we're saying, and I know what Councillor Wilson's getting at, that person could be paid that allowance and for the next 5 years never be contacted, never been spoken to.
They'll only be paid it if they...
That's not my understanding of standby. Standby, you get paid to standby. The call out is slightly different if you're called out.
But it's operational as to which staff are considered to be necessary for standby and which for call outs. It may well be that we have no need whatsoever for standby, but we do have a need for call outs.
It says it in the policy.
It's up to the clerk to. I mean, if we found we were spending a heck of a lot of money on standby, we might well ask the clerk to give us a report on, why. Please justify this. But if standby applies, this is the way we apply it. Only if.
Councillor Wilson, then Councillor.
This is another example of a motion that was passed a long time ago to recruit an external company to be in charge of standby when we took the toilets. That never happened, and now some 2.5 years later we're now going down a standby and call out policy.
But I don't see this as about toilets.
No, that's just one example. No. That's all we have at the moment. We didn't fulfil, and we are strategists, and I do love a good strategy, and the strategy then was we would employ a company to cover any call-outs. That was a decision that was made as a strategy, and now that hasn't been done, and now we've got a policy which the words are lovely, but I'm not sure what we're going to get for it, bar potentially £5,000 a year. And we still haven't done the action that was passed 2.5 years ago.
Is there anything illegal with us adopting this policy now?
No.
Well, there we are then.
The only thing I would say, because
nothing untoward about adopting this policy.
Coming up from what I heard then is, of course, we might not need standby people.
It's up to it says
so that's up to.
Standby period of cover outside normal working hours. The times will be determined by the town clerk. Standby can be categorised. It's all in here.
It's all there.
We just haven't adopted the policy.
This policy says if it happens, here's what we do.
Got a policy if it happens. Yeah. Right. So reviewing it.
Yeah, we reviewed it.
Just reviewed it.
I agree. We adopt it.
We haven't got any suggestions for changes, so we reviewed it and it is as it is.
Okay. Where's the money coming from?
We're not spending any. This is the policy.
Not at the moment.
But also,
it's a policy.
Councillor Wilson, my understanding is, but obviously the RFO isn't here who'd be able to correct me if I was wrong. But these are additional salary costs, and that's within the salary budget.
Okay.
So that's
I was asking where the money was coming from.
That's where the money's coming from.
Thank you.
Okay, so quite a
safety
review.
matters.
Thank you, Chair. There's no update there, Chair. That's a standing item. Thank you.
Town Accessibility Working Group. There's no update on that. Town Rangers to receive a report.
And John's done the report for this one, Chair.
And John's done that on E.
Yes, I think you have the report in front of you, councillors. Is there anything on there you wish to ask me? I'm available for comment.
No, thank you very much for the work you've done. That's what I'd like to say.
Well, thank you for that, and I'll pass it on. As I say, I don't delegate because I go out with my guys, and as you're well aware, that we are down to 2 at the minute. One left us just before Christmas because of personal reasons. So we've been functioning with 2, Louis up in Sidley predominantly, and Kelly going around doing the stuff that Kelly's doing on a day-to-day basis. But it's all here. A lot of it is, as I say every time, a lot of it is ongoing, it's work in progress, a lot of it is repetitive.
If we see things that he's doing on our wards, can we
Absolutely,
what's
Councillor, and I've said this all along, please funnel it through myself at operations, and I will then look at it, depending on what it is and what the criteria is. Some things we can't deal with still, obviously, but the majority of things that are coming to us from you, councillors on the ground, we are dealing with.
Can you deal with graffiti?
Yeah. We can deal with the graffiti, but there's lots of provisos. For argument's sake, the graffiti that was on Norman's Bay toilet, which was a huge job, we did not, and we still do not have the capacity to deal with that sort of thing. It's specialist equipment, specialist chemicals. We had to get a specialist company in to do that.
Do you need more materials? Do you need more funding for the town rangers?
No, we have a funding budget which, as far as I'm aware, well, I am aware because I monitor my budget. We have the equipment we need, and we have all we need now is a third person. I'll come on to that at the end once you've gone through the report. If you
going to ask you that now. Councillor Flynn and Councillor Goss. That's the actual question I was going to ask. Yeah. When is the third person?
I was just going to ask that as well.
When is the third person going to be employed, and are there plans to employ a fourth, fifth, and sixth person? When we get other services,
let's come back to that at the end when John said he would do it.
But the question I was going to follow that through was, will we be employing those people ahead of those services coming in, so we're ready for them?
As far as I'm aware at the minute, 3, from my point of view, 3 is enough. We have enough work, I have enough work coming in to justify 3 town rangers. I'll be totally honest with you, I don't have enough work for 4 or 5. Okay. However, and of course when assets come to us, we will then be employing or trooping across Biffa or ID Verdi or whoever the contractors are for the bigger contracts. So I'm not in a position at the minute to commit my guys to any sort of other taskings than those that are coming towards us, being drip fed to us from Rother and also from the members of the public and from members of council. And I'll give you an example here. Louis is working very hard up in Sidley. He's very well recognised. He's doing a good job. And somebody approached him, a member of the public approached him the other day and said, can you do the bollards? You know, the cannon bollards on the side of the road. He came to me and said, can I? I went to East Sussex Highways and said, can we? They went, do you know what? We'll put it this way. We're never going to be in a position to be able to do it. So that tells you the answer, really. So we are now slowly catching monkey. We're making Sidley a little bit more better by doing the bollards. It's a minor issue to some, but to a member of the public who finds that offensive, Louis is now on the job.
That's a load of bollards, isn't it?
So it's an absolute load of bollards, but we're on it. Councillor Goss.
It was only a simple thing. I was intrigued on number 2. You cleared 13 of the 23 Twittons. I thought they were about that number where I live.
I can honestly say, Councillor Goss, I have not been round on a Twitten identification course recently. These are recognised by my guys when they're at the power. They see a Twitten, they note it, and get on with it, hopefully. But as I say, we're down to 2 at the minute. We've had issues, weather.
Yeah.
This time of year, it's holidays, sickness, and one of them doesn't drive. So, you know, I am juggling here with manpower and woman power to make it work. We are this week interviewing for cleaning operatives, and my idea is we also took on board comments that have been made about the third person, And the reason why we haven't involved recruiting for a third person yet is because we just have not had the time. I have not had the time. The RFO hasn't had the time to put anything together. We've been struggling to get rid of wettons, which we've done now, take the toilets in-house, get toilet operatives up and running. We had two up and running, as you all well aware now. We lost one only last week. So we've got one toilet cleaner, and myself and Michelle are covering those other duties. This is not ideal, but that is what we have to do because we have to keep them over 24/7.
Thank you very much.
And
for that. Yeah.
I'm certainly not asking for praise, but what I'm saying from an operational point of view, we are keeping the toilets open, but we need more manpower. And the only way we can do that is by recruiting. We're recruiting this week, and hopefully within that recruitment section, I have noted that there are a couple of applicants that may necessarily be ideal for, if they don't fancy perhaps toilet cleaning, then maybe we can nurture them into. It's a double hatter, but we are looking and we are trying to fill the gaps. But as you can well appreciate, I'm sure all of you sitting around here, cleaning toilets is not everybody's cup of tea, and I am well aware from my previous experience in life that we are going to run into a constant turnover, I feel, from that
flow
point of view.
would be a good word.
The jokes tonight, I'm making a list, there'll be fines later.
I'm sure they're all coming from that side, actually, Chair.
Oh, there's been a couple of good ones.
Yes, thank you.
Right, thank you, John. And yes, to echo what was said, they're doing a marvellous job, and people are noticing. And it's a very positive sign.
I promote them all the time whenever I do my meetings. I always talk about the town rangers.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know they exist, and I do make sure that they understand that they are out there, they are making a difference, and it's a really good thing. It's a great thing that this town council is doing.
They are out
and
there.
I do appreciate all the
And
work
of course, but we do have a lot of green areas, and we do have 32 square kilometres of land to maintain, or areas to maintain. But we're being seen, we're being safe, we're doing the job as best as we can. And hopefully by next time I come to this meeting, I'll be able to give a more positive, if that's not positive enough,
you're fine.
a more positive approach.
Councillor Wilson.
I know, I'm sorry. Really interesting. I've learnt a lot about the role of the Rangers and what you and your team are doing, John. I think because we do strategy, I think it would be nice if our strategy isn't being fulfilled, that the committee should know about it. I wasn't aware that we were only operating with 2 Rangers where we made the decision to have 3. I think the committee should have been aware of that. And I think that it would be really nice to see a future plan. So with your report, could we sort of potentially see what's going to be done rather than what has been done? Because there must be a plan.
I think I was behind getting rid of that because I didn't want John to spend so long, because next month's next meetings, what we have done would have been this month's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And I was trying to avoid repetition.
Okay.
And also some of those things, John might have 2 or things definitely planned, but if phone calls come in saying X, Y and Z, those plans, and then we'll be criticising him for not doing what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
I take your point, but it was to try and minimise John's preparation for this, because this is probably on the list somewhere anyway.
Do bus stops come under town rangers?
They come under my remit.
Am I able to ask for an update on them for the next meeting? Because when we took over the bus stops, we had a plan to renovate, I think, 6. I then, when I was chair, managed to make it 7 because I got
we noticed that.
Row, thank you. And that has been done, and it looks a lot safer and better. But we've got 59 now in the town, of which 6 are brand new.
No, we haven't got 59 shelters.
Not shelters.
When you say bus stops, do you mean a
Stops and
stop
shelters.
or a shelter? We don't have 59 shelters in
There
this
was,
town.
there was 56 that we took from Rother.
Shelters.
Yeah, and there's 3 more that have been added that we've taken that are brand new
Well-
from East Sussex that I'm aware of. So, anyway, you can check the numbers, but I like numbers. What's the plan for the next phase? I know there's discussions with Wave Arts, and because it's proven, and I was sceptical, it's proven that if you
Look after it.
look after it and
They
put
can
the
look
right
pretty
stuff
if they
there,
don't wreck
it won't be damaged. And the one in Sidley is a classic example, so it does work. What's the plan, please?
So what I can see is we're asking the clerk to review what we did do and come up with, because presumably we spent all the money for that, but it's the situation regarding bus shelter refurbishment.
Yeah. Yeah, the plan.
So could we possibly have an update there? So
Thank you.
what's left in the budget, if there is anything, and what a future scheme would look like of going around the others now?
Because I don't think we've done the first 6 that were agreed. I think we've only done 4.
I think yours leapt ahead, didn't it?
Yes, so there's 2 others that we haven't completed yet.
And there's one repaired on my manor as well, on my one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
up at Gunters Lane. So
If
the
it's
clerk's made a note of that.
If it's any help, Chair, Town Clerk, I was only speaking to Town Clerk this week. Wave Arts have approached us again. What you've got to remember, please, is that Wave Arts, being a separate entity, they have lots and lots of jobs throughout the south of England, not just here. They're based just outside of, well, they're based in St Leonard's. However, they have done a lot of work in here. Their next project that they have approached me to consider only this week is the bus stop, the bus shelter. The bus shelter. Let's not get confused with stops and shelters. The shelter outside of the college, which has been, and I'll use this word, mullered for a number of years now. Carol, who runs Wave Arts, has taken a group of college students under her wing to do other things, and she contacted me and said, John, would this be a good time, would this be a good venture to do the shelter outside the college? And I said, I need to look at it to see, because they can't paint on perspex. We have to then employ this new grill system that the bus shelters are made of, as is the one that we refurbished Council Wilson up in Turners Road. That is the way forward with these, and we're finding it's easier, A, to maintain, and B, it doesn't get mullered that quickly. But I need to look at that and see how much the cost is going to be to replace the perspex with this grill, and then she can come across with some college artwork, because as we've all said just now, and the one at the end of the one in Sidley and the one on the end by the station are prime examples. They've been now nearly 2 years done, and they haven't been touched. They haven't been touched because they've been done by people who do the graffiti in the first place. I know. So, you're taking people out of college to decorate the bus shelter outside the college.
Yeah.
Let's look at it. Let's see how much it's going to cost us. It costs around about £400 for Wave Arts to do the job.
I've got a question for you about the one, because I know Bexhill Heritage did up the one opposite 3rd Avenue, Hastings Road.
Yes.
Which is a classic design, and when I first saw it and you look at it you go, oh yeah, it's a classic design. I know they're looking to put a seat in there because they've applied to a charity to help a seat, and I think there was plans for the college students or somebody to paint that one, but has that involved the council?
I think that's what I was going to say. On that basis, Chair, should they not be informing us, because it's our property?
Yeah, that just came to me.
And I take it that that's not the bus shelter you're talking about.
No.
You're talking the one in Hastings Road.
I'm not talking about the Hastings Road, no. It's Penland Road.
Penland, so it's by the college.
It's right outside the college. Literally outside the college.
Because there's one on London Road that's absolutely appalling.
So they need to be on the plan, but I take that point, and obviously the clerk's taken it, but I will make inquiries myself about that one in Hastings Road that Heritage have we're glad we won't be arguing that they spent money doing it out.
It was money allotted to them by us.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh, right.
It was a grant given by us to them to do it up.
Well, I wish they came back and asked you for the bench and not a charity.
Sorry.
Councillor Lee.
I was just going to say there's one on London Road as well, just opposite the butcher's there, a little bit further down on the left-hand side. It is an appalling mess, that one is. It's got weeds all around the outside of it.
We're not taking pick your bus shelter.
We should do the ones we agreed to do first before.
And the clerk has got that, and he understands that.
Should
and
we
we're
have
not
a lottery?
going, name your shelter.
Should we have a lottery so we can pick them out one at a time?
Right, so thank you for that. Motions for councillors, there aren't any. Correspondence and matters of information, there aren't any. Date of the next meeting, unless we get some really good up-to-date information about the Circle A, in which case we'll be meeting before then. It's the 2nd of September.
Might well rain until September.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, everybody. The meeting is closed.
Thank you very much. 8:26.